Ladies and gentlemen, friends and partners, welcome to the 2021 Africa Think Tank Shark Tank competition. We're thrilled for you to join us today for something that's become a celebrated example of how competition in the arena of ideas helps all of us reach a bit higher. For nearly a decade, this competition has brought some of the most innovative projects from the worldwide freedom movement to the main stage at our annual Global Liberty Forum. And each year, the quality of content and level of impact gets better and better, demonstrating the value that friendly competition for ideas brings the best out of each of us. With the generous support of the Smith Family Foundation over the past few years, we've been able to bring this competition to the Africa Regional Liberty Forum. We express our sincere thanks to our friends at the Smith Family Foundation for their generous and ongoing support. So what does it take to win in the world of ideas? Sound principles and solid research. Absolutely. But it also takes more than that. It takes a talent for conveying those ideas in a way that grabs people's attention. It requires a plan for success. And last but not least, a well-honed pitch. We have 3 think tank entrepreneurs standing by who have been intensively preparing for this moment. This is their opportunity to pitch their project in front of a panel of judges who will select a single winner for the $5,000 prize. Each finalist will have only 5 minutes to make their case. Now, before we move on with the competition, I'd like to invite our esteemed judges to the virtual stage, and I'd like to introduce each one of them. Judge number 1, Temba Noluchungu, is a director of the Free Market Foundation in South Africa. He's a trustee of the Cape Town Carnival and a council member of the Institute of Race Relations. Welcome, Temba. Judge number 2 is Dr. Courtney Baker. She is the founder of Kids Care Home Health based in Dallas, Texas. Courtney started Kids Care Home Health in 2003 out of a small house in Garland, Texas, with just 10 initial patients. Since then, Kids Care has grown into a successful agency with operations throughout Texas, Colorado, Oregon, Idaho, and now even Virginia. Judge number 3, Tural Valiev, is a social sustainability professional with 15 years of experience on sustainable development program management. Tural managed projects and stakeholder relationships in Azerbaijan, Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, Gambia, Mauritania, and Senegal. Currently, he is the social performance manager for BP, Mauritania, and Senegal. Welcome, Tural. Glad to have you. And finally, we have Bright Simmons, who is the president of M Pedigree, a social enterprise working on 3 separate continents to spread innovative technologies that secure communities from the harmful effects of counterfeiting in the healthcare, agriculture, cosmetics, and automotive sectors. Bright also serves as the honorary vice president at Imani, where he has been instrumental in the organization's innovative use of rigorous, research-generated evidence in high-stakes political accountability, anti-corruption, and civil liberty projects. Considering our judges' resumes, I think it is very safe to say that they understand how to get the best return on investment from a dollar, and that they get good ideas. Now that we know our judges, let's review the ground rules of this Shark Tank competition. Each contestant will be given 5 minutes to present a project their think tank plans to undertake. When the 5 minutes are up, the judges will then have an additional 5 minutes to ask questions that challenge our contestants to further show how their project has a sound plan, solves a pressing problem, or can be executed effectively within the given budget. Once all the contestants have pitched their projects, the judges will convene privately to determine the winner and recipient of the $5,000 prize. The winner of the Africa Shark Tank Award will be announced today during the forum's closing remarks at 12:15 p.m. Burundi time. Well, without further ado, let's get started. First, we have Bruce Valiant Ntanji Bingura of the Center for Development and Enterprise Great Lakes in Burundi. Bruce, we're looking forward to your Open the Border Project report. The time is now yours.
Evening, good morning, Africa. It's an honor for me to present to you the projects we call Fungua Njia from the CDE Great Lakes. CDE Great Lakes have launched since 2020 projects to work for reducing barriers for cross-border trade women's in Burundi. So Burundi is one of the most protectionist countries in the East Africa community. And this made Burundi ranking on the worst position, even in the World Bank doing business ranking, and also in the free trade rank. You can imagine what does it look like in Burundi for this. Let me give you an example of Nasra. Nasra is a widow. She have 5 children who she needs to take care of them, and she started a cross-border trade, but she didn't know that the business she was going through, which is the Kitenge trade, which you can see in my background, was one of the most sensitive products for Burundi. And then she had to pay more taxes than the revenue she would have to get. She have to sleep with a tax agent to make sure that she don't pay the taxes. But unfortunately, after having abused her, that agent gave her to the police, and she was accused of prostitutes. So since then, she lost her help. So what we are pitching to you today is a project where we want to reduce the barriers, to reduce that status of sensitive product of that product. So what we are trying to do is to run an awareness campaign and also a training for these women who do this cross-border trade to make sure that they are aware and they are actors for their change. We will do these projects since 2021 to 2022. And we hope that if you give us the $5,000, we will have the chance to help her going through the border, not in illegal status, but in formal and legal status. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Temba, why don't we start off with you? We're going to take 5 minutes with the judges to ask questions. So Temba, why don't you kick us off? What questions do you have, or what question do you have for Bruce to get to know his project a little bit better? Temba?
Okay, Bruce, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Bruce, we know that the AU African Union is in process of implementing a free trade zone throughout the African continent. Now you have this noble project in terms of cross-border trading. How does that compare with the AU? Are you moving faster than the AU in terms of achieving this noble goal? And how will the prize money be used to enhance your initiatives in this regard?
Okay, thank you so much. So what we have identified here is that there is already a plan to have to have trade, a free trade with, and to reduce the sensitive products with the neighboring countries of Burundi and especially with the DRC. So because of bureaucracy, it is not advancing, but we have already identified the issue and the key players. So we are trying to push the government and the authorities who need to put this reform in place to make sure that it is done. But we already have this reform, but it is not already done by the authorities.
Thank you.
Okay. Tural, how about we turn to you? What would you like to know more about Bruce's project in terms of specifics or budget? What stood out to you? What would you like to know?
Sure. Thank you. Bruce, thanks very much for sharing your project with us. I would like to know if you have secured the rest of the budget. Do you have any plans or any actions in place in terms of other funders, or have you already raised the rest of the budget?
So we are already running raising money campaign for the projects, and we already have local partners who are keen to support our projects, because it's not only CDE Great Lakes here in Burundi who is looking to advance this issue, and we believe that we'll have the additional budget of the project from our local partners here in Burundi.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful. Courtney, how about we turn to you? As you heard about this project, was there something that you wanted to get a better sense of from Bruce? Courtney, I think we'll need to take you off mute.
Thank you. So for the money, if you were to win this $5,000 prize, how would you, in fact, use this money most effectively to, as your word said, raise awareness?
Thank you so much. So with this money will help us to have the key activities being launched for the projects. So with the awareness campaign, we believe that with this money, we will launch the awareness campaign with 5 radios with whom we are already have a partnership and MOU. So this will help us to run the awareness, and also will help us to start also training some women. So this is our key points, which we think will help us even to go faster and to have more partners on the project so that we can achieve our goals.
Right, thank you.
Great. And last quick question. We're going to have just a quick one here. Bright, is there a question you wanted to get in here before we wrap up?
Yes, thank you. Congrats, Bruce, for trying to do something about this problem. If I understand you correctly, this product is classified as sensitive, and therefore there's high taxes when you try and bring it across the border. What I wasn't too clear about is, on the one hand, you seem to be saying you want to help the individual traders, but on the other hand, you want to raise awareness so the government will change the classification. What is your actual emphasis?
So we know that there is already a simplified trade regime proposition which is already set up, but because of bureaucracy, this is not advancing. So
all right.
that's
sorry, Bruce, I'm gonna have to interrupt. That is time, and we're on a tight schedule, and we're gonna have to jump through that. So thank you, judges. We will now move to our next contestant. We have Rejoice Gwenya, who is the founder of the Coalition for Market and Liberal Solutions in Zimbabwe. Rejoice, let's hear more about your project, #MyTitle4Life.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Rejoice Ngwenya, the Director for the Coalition for Market and Liberal Solutions. In short, Kumaliso. Now, for the past 5 years, we have invested time and money to unveil the virtues of title deeds in rural areas. Now, this is the bigger picture experience that we want to deploy to inner cities without title deeds. Now, yes, Hernando de Soto termed this situation dead capital. But I now differ with him slightly. You know, Mr. De Soto, for us, untitled property inner cities are capital in hibernation, a giant of wealth waiting to be unlocked and unleashed. Dead is dead. It means no resurrection. Death is permanent. Now, this is why, you know, my Title for Life aims to transform people's lives by advocating for title deeds in inner cities. We know that without access to deeds, to credit, well, then one cannot use their property to access money. Their life remains locked in a pervasive cycle of poverty. And this is why we want to deploy this $5,000 into ensuring that we raise this awareness. Now, we're going to have one radio program for $800, one press advert for $800, and of course, 2 workshops for stakeholders for $2,500, which will be supported by 4 legal resource persons, and of course, $100 to cover the basics of communication and transport. Now, My Title for Life will bring together, key stakeholders, representatives of resident associations, bank managers, councillors, and policymakers. This is to try and clear this mindset, to remove this mindset and create a strong feeling that property and ownership and title are associated with wealth creation and independence. Now, there are 2 key steps that we're going to adopt in this program. First of all, of course, we are going to have a blueprint, a policy blueprint with content we are going to develop from our workshops and our advertising and our consultations. And of course, it's important that we engage these policymakers directly. This is important. Why? Because property ownership is a legal issue, and you need to have policymakers and regulators to buy into the processes for regulations. We know that we are convinced that the bulk of the citizens in Zimbabwe understand and they have bought on this idea of property ownership and title deeds. So it is important that we keep pressing forward and ensuring that our message and our gospel is understood. Now, personal empowerment is very key in property ownership. And we have tracked down one lady, Thembi Mlondiwa, who is going to give us a slight insight into what she makes out of the property rights situation.
My name is Thembi. I stay here in Solomio. This is where I stay. This place that I'm staying with, there are no title deeds in this place. The assumption was there were title deeds when we started procuring the place, but there are no title deeds. And it's an unfortunate thing because title deeds are important. The way I see it, if I would need to get a loan from the bank, I would need title deeds for that. Also, if I need to travel, maybe you need a visa, you want to visit friends and family overseas, title deeds come as an.
Well, there it is, my friends, property deeds.
Thank you, Rejoice. Looks like a great project. I want to get back to the judges now to give them some time to ask some questions. Bright, we ended with you last time, so why don't we start with you? What question do you have for Rejoice and his project?
Rejoice, congrats for taking on a really massive challenge. One thing I'm not too clear about is to do titling, you need municipals, you need banks, credit registry. It seems like a technical project. Why are you spending money on radio, which addresses general audiences, instead of spending all of it on the technical issues with the technical stakeholders like banks and municipal authorities?
Beautiful question, Bright. This project is as much populist as it is technical. So it is important that by the time the politicians go onto the ground, there is a groundswell of popular support for the project. And it can only be that I can only succeed doing that through some kind of radio program that creates some kind of favor and excitement around the project.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Courtney, how about we turn to you next? As you listen to the project, what stood out for you? What questions do you have, or a question do you have for Rejoice?
Hi, Rejoice. I was wondering if you are asking for $35,000 with $2,500 going to the content of your workshop, 2 workshops. What has been developed in this content so far?
Look, as I mentioned, Courtney earlier on, that this is not the first time. This is not our first inroad into researching and building a case for property for title deeds in unregulated areas. But it's important. There's a new generation of politicians now, so it is important that we bring these together, the key stakeholders, and then and present the blueprint so that we are able to sell the benefits to them. As I said in my video, to push away the mentality of dependence and bring in a new aura of independence. And I'm sure that I feel strongly that we have enough content already in our research, but this is a new generation of politicians that need special attention.
Thank you.
Great. Temba, how about we turn to you as you listen to this? What would you like to know more from Rejoice about his project?
Yeah, I have an idea in terms of the nature of this project because in South Africa, we implemented the same project. However, let me get to this question. Rejoice, you mentioned that there is a groundswell of support for the titling project. Would it fall within the ambit of your brief, your organization's brief, to translate that groundswell support into pressure on the government to facilitate this so that your work then becomes easier?
Right, as you know, Temba, politicians are always desperate for attention, and they're always desperate for legacy. So, with millions of Zimbabweans in unregulated places, I think it is very easy for us to be able to push that put pressure on them, and that groundswell. We are really convinced that, especially looking at the election year in 2023, it's a project that's going to pick up a lot of support and interest within the citizens and the population in general.
All right. Taral, any follow-up? Any things that's been generated as you've listened to this that you'd like to push or get a little bit more information on?
Yeah, thanks. Rejoice, thanks for sharing your project with us. I would like to get to know more about your sustainability plan for your project, as you have recognized that it's a huge issue, and obviously project budget is limited.
Right.
What is your sustainability plan?
Beautiful question, Taral. Once the municipal authorities, once the councillors and the political machinery takes up the project, it is an orbit. We just need to invest in making sure that they buy out at outset. But the political system and the municipal system and local government system is capable of maintaining some critical momentum around this project. Sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Rejoice, for letting us know more about this project. And we will now move to our third and final project. So let me introduce Henri Kwam, who is a fellow in economic affairs at the Nkafu Policy Institute in Cameroon. Henri, let's hear about the Nkafu Open Trade Initiative, or NOTI. Time is now yours.
Thank you for the opportunity to present the Nkafu Open Trade Initiative. The Nkafu Open Trade Initiative is a grant which was awarded to us by the Atlas Network. And the reason this is important for CAFU and for Cameroon is because free trade is necessary in order for Cameroon and Nigeria to get out of the crisis caused by COVID-19. Both countries were badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic due to border closures and social distancing measures. And what we realized is that trade was equally badly affected by this pandemic. And so the CAFU Open Trade Initiative is designed to help us reduce the tariff and the non-tariff barriers in trade between Cameroon and Nigeria, but also help us to spread the word about the benefits of free trade to civil society, to policymakers, to lobby groups, and that way encourage people to trade with Nigeria and of course, improve economic development. So some background on this project is that Nigeria is Cameroon's second largest trading partner after China. So Nigeria is a pretty important country for us in terms of trade. And if you look at a country like Togo, for example, we only trade about 5% with a neighbor like Togo. And about 2 and 3% of our exports go to the likes of South Africa. Also, Nigeria has a population of 201 million people, which means there is significant opportunity there for us, Cameroonians, for farmers, for manufacturers, for retailers to export to Nigeria, create hundreds and millions of jobs, and help millions of people get out of poverty. The CAFU Open Trade Initiative has for objective first to reduce tariff and non-tariff barriers, but most importantly to ensure that people are able to understand the benefits of free trade, because countries in Southeast Asia, countries in Europe, North America have all benefited from free trade. And this project is designed to help people understand that when you trade with other countries, you can create jobs, it can be a win-win situation, and you can design sufficiently supportive policy backdrop to achieve that. In this project, we hope to create 3 personalized short videos where we'll share this with civil society to help them see how people in their communities and in our communities have benefited from free trade, to see how farmers and to see how local fashion designers are exporting to Nigeria and how they've managed to change lives and impact people and equally impact our society positively. We're going to hold regular quarterly panel discussions because we equally want to engage with policymakers to enable them understand the benefits of free trade. And in doing so, we're equally going to invite members of civil society so they can participate and share their views and their opinions on what they think about trade and how they think they'll be affected by trade with Nigeria. We're going to have several media campaigns to that regard to ensure that through radio, through TV channels, through social media, people are aware of the benefits of free trade. And hopefully we can encourage the youth, we can encourage traders, entrepreneurs to get into trade with Nigeria. We're equally going to have a distinguished lecture on free trade. Now, the reason we hope to win the 5,000 cash grant is because in addition to achieving the objectives of a grant, we will be able to financially back the operational working group, which means that we'll be able to invite distinguished experts to provide credible opinions and credible evidence-based recommendations to policymakers. We will be able to have additional press conferences, regularly go to the TV, radio, and print media. But most importantly, we'll equally be able to advertise online and offline. And so this would make sure that Cameroonians understand the benefits of free trade with Nigeria, and that beyond Nigeria, they can understand the benefits of trading with other countries. So we hope that this would go a long way to actually to improve people's lives, to help them see opportunities, and to give people some hope that after COVID-19, they can in fact trade with other countries, and they can in fact sell their products, and they can lift millions of people out of poverty. Thank you very much.
All right. Right on, 5 minutes right on the dot. Well done. Courtney, why don't we start off with you? What question would you like to put forward to Henri about his project and creating greater trade relationships between at least at this point, Nigeria and his home country.
Hi, Henri. My question for you is, it seems like the free trade with Nigeria really is a governmental issue. How are you going to get governmental buy-in when it comes to trading with Nigeria as opposed to China?
So we, through the operational working group, we hope to invite experts, members of civil society, but equally public sector employees in order for them to work with us to find the solutions. Because we understand that finding the solutions is one thing, implementing them is the real challenge. So we hope that through our policy advocacy, inviting them to our events, quarterly panel discussions, but also having formal presentations with them, we'll be able to help them see the benefits of free trade and hopefully understand that we can benefit from trading with Nigeria just as much as we can benefit from trading with China. And so I think this way they would have an incentive to help us achieve the objective of boosting Cameroon-Nigeria trade ties.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Temba, how about we turn to you? What follow-up questions would you like to pose to Henri?
Thanks, Henry. That's very interesting, your presentation. That is, as has been the case with the other presentations. However, there's this point that I want to ask. The open free trade aspect of your overall project seems to focus almost exclusively on Nigeria. Would it fall within your brief to extend this, to some other countries or joining countries? In which case, I think the impact would be even much broader than just simply between the two countries. Or will you use the amount of money to still intensify your efforts with Nigeria in mind?
Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Temba. We hope that if we win the 5,000 cash grant, we'll be able to move beyond Cameroon-Nigeria trade. We'll be able to talk about the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area. We'll be able to organize events around regional trade and of course talk about Cameroon-Nigeria trade, but also show members of civil society and of policymakers through radio and print and through TV and through events that we can in fact trade with the rest of Africa, that we can bring down tariff and non-tariff barriers and inform people of the opportunities which are out there. Nigeria is a starting point, and we hope that once we have a self-sustaining program, we'll equally be looking at other countries. So this grant is the 5,000 cash. The 5,000 cash grants would really be an opportunity for us to do more, to go beyond Cameroon and Nigeria.
Wonderful. Bright, how about we pass the baton to you? What question would you like to put to Henri?
Congrats, Henry, for this very ambitious project. If I understand correctly, you want Cameroon to unilaterally declare free trade on the border. Have you thought about the counter activism, that would argue that is unfair and it's not patriotic and things like that? And what is your strategy to counter that kind of disinformation?
Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Bright. I think we think economic nationalism isn't beneficial for any country. There is extensive research which states that, but we equally understand that people are anxious about the meaning of free trade for their jobs, for their livelihoods and their employment. Given what we've seen in the United States, we do understand this concern. But we hope that by engaging with people through regular radio shows, regular TV shows, through our reports, through our events, where we engage with civil society, we'll be able to show them that our local industry stands to benefit. We'll be able to show them that industries such as materials, cement, for example, can benefit from trade with Nigeria. Industries such as finance and banking can benefit. And we'll show them that in order for us to create employment and long-lasting jobs, well-paying jobs, we have to trade with countries who are doing well. We have to trade with emerging markets like Nigeria so that people have access to more opportunities. So we will frame our our argument in terms of the opportunities which we can have with Nigeria, in terms of the jobs, in terms of the employment, in terms of the development opportunities, in terms of the implications for foreign direct investment. We'll frame it such that people see that they can personally benefit from free trade.
Wonderful. Well, that brings us to a close on that 5 minutes. So with that, that is a wrap. What a wonderful set of projects that we got to be exposed to today. So grateful for the efforts of our judges and their questions and thoughtful response to these projects. It's always hard to know as you go through these whether we clap or snap or how we best respond when we've seen such a great group of individuals present. Regardless, wonderful job. Thank you to Bruce, Rejoice, and Henri. Thank you as to our judges as well, a great panel of judges, and again, some tremendous, great quality questions and follow-up to get a better sense of what they intend to do and the scope of these projects. Our judges will convene shortly in an ultra-private and incredibly secure virtual meeting space to discuss and decide who today's winner is. And we'll find out who the winner is in just a couple of hours during the closing session of the Africa Regional Liberty Forum. Thank you all for joining us today. We have about a 30-minute break before the next concurrent breakout sessions begin at 11:15 a.m. Central Africa time. So if you haven't already, I invite you to take some time to break the ice with someone new in the chat that you maybe haven't met before, learn a little bit about them, and find ways maybe where there's an opportunity for you to partner and begin to work with them. At the bottom right of your screen, you'll see a chat bubble, and if you click on it, you'll be able to see all of the event attendees to begin those conversations. I know that I and our staff here at Atlas Network would be thrilled to hear from you and to talk more with each of you. Thank you for watching today's show, and enjoy the rest of the program.